So for me, if you're brewing at home, the best thing I can recommend, invest in a good grinder. Consistency with your grind is always going to be key. So Poralex has a really nice handheld one. You also get a workout in the morning. But you're left with a very consistent grinder. Those blade ones are probably the worst thing you can use. They're better for grinding up spices, not for your coffee. Because at the end of the day, you want to be consistent with your product. And then if you're brewing at home, I use a 16:1 ratio for everything I do, and I brew every coffee the exact same way. And then as I understand the coffee, I might change my parameters because I might want a little bit more acidity, but whatever method you pick, treat every coffee the exact same way, because in that way it gives you a benchmark as you're developing within the industry and you're developing your palate. At least you have your control point. You know what you did to create this profile. And then once you understand that, then you branch off. Coffee, it's a matter of 5 seconds with even your water temperature. How you pour in your V60, how you pour the water in your Chemex for your turbulence is going to affect your profile. So find a method at home. If it's 15:1, 16:1, just stay with that method. Keep your grind the same and then develop off of that. Because as soon as you start changing, and you don't know what you've done to create your flavor profile. So be consistent and then develop from there. So what I'm gonna brew up here, I'm gonna use my 16:1 ratio, and I'm brewing a Kenyan coffee, which is one that we've roasted a little bit more on the lighter side, so it's got a lot of delicate acidities to the cup. So I'm gonna use a V60 method for this to articulate and bring out some of the more subtle acidity notes of this cup. The biggest thing you wanna do is always pre-wet your filter. Because if we were to pour our coffee directly into here with this dry filter, we're gonna have two things. We're gonna taste the paper, as well as the paper is gonna absorb a lot of our oils within the coffee. So you always wanna pre-wet, that way your whole craft is already preheated and ready to go. And for this brew method, I use a medium to coarse grind, because what I'm trying to achieve is a 3-minute, 15-second total brew time. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier about consistency. Always be consistent with what you do. Find a brew time ratio that you like and try to always stay with that. And your grind is going to be the key factor for being able to do that. So once you've got the coffee ground, you've got your craft preheated, what you want to do next is a bloom. So with me using a 16:1 ratio, I'm putting in 1 ounce worth of water to allow for a bloom of about 30 seconds. And this will help some of the coffee off gas. You get an even saturation of your coffee. So I'll let this go for about 30 seconds. And then when you're using V60, you never want to pour just straight down the middle. You always want to create even turbulence throughout. Because if you pour straight down the middle, what's going to happen is your water is going to flow straight down the middle, and you're not going to extract the coffee on the outside, and you're going to over extract the coffee in the center. So you're going to be left with a little bit more astringency and acridness on the back end of your cup. So you always want to pour in a circular motion. And that's why a lot of Harios, you'll see grooves within, and that's to help create turbulence. So you pour within a circular motion. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, is find a method that works for you. I'll pour in pulses. If you want to just be a slow, I've seen lots of people pour just continually slow pour. That is fine too. It all goes back to the system you choose. Be consistent with your system, because just adjusting the way I pour will affect the taste profile I get out of the cup. And then let's say we were brewing this with a Chemex with a finer filter. Our brew time would be a little bit longer, but we'd have a lot more sediment filtered out of the product. As opposed to with this one, the filter's a little bit coarser, so a little bit more of the sediment works through. So it's just finding the coffee that works for your flavor profile you're trying to achieve. And then the great thing too is as the coffee cools, the the structure of the coffee is changing. So right now, if we were to drink it, you're gonna be able to pick out some more of the stronger flavor characteristics. The body and the finish will be the most prominent. As it cools, that's when a lot more of the delicate acidic notes of this coffee. So this one's got a lot of characteristics of like a grape, a peach, and a nectarine as it cools. But with it being hot, you get a little bit more of your caramels and a little bit of your toffees. So this is just a super unique, complex cup. That's why I've chosen a V60 for this one.